what I'm going to do now is show you a few examples of source photo and painting. This source photo led to one of my very, very earliest abstract paintings. So just look at this elephant and this trunk, the curvature on the trunk, and even this little shape right here sticking down. That's probably the elephant's lip. And the textures on some of these dudes, okay? And here's my painting. Do you see the elephant's trunk right here? And the little lip hanging down? And then all the spots inspired by all the spots on their skin. This shape here probably came from another one of the trunks. Do you see that? As I said, this was one of my very first, and notice also how different the colors are. You know, you can change, you can do anything you want with your colors. This was one of, as I said, this was one of my very, very first abstract watercolors that I ever made. Um, but I did use that photograph to get me going, to give me some ideas. And here's another one. So I took a photo of this tugboat, and what I want you to do is look right here. I just saw all these shapes, you know, all the radar things and, you know, all this stuff, navigational stuff on the tugboat. Let's turn it upside down, okay? Now it looks, the thing about turning a photo upside down, when you do that, it kind of fakes your brain out. It makes it harder for your brain to identify shapes, and the words that we use to describe shapes don't come as easily when we're looking at an upside down photo. So it's helpful. And here's my painting. See, there's all that stuff that's on the top of that tugboat.
Alexis, are
Yes,
these
Margie?
paintings, are these abstracts your first ones and the second one uh on watercolor paper
Oh,
or
that's a good
paper
question. Yeah,
and gesso?
this one's on gessoed paper.
They're both
This one was done so long ago that I honestly can't remember, but if I zoom in real close, I don't see any evidence of gesso on here. This was probably done on untreated, plain old cold press paper. This painting I actually still have, and this is done on gessoed paper. I can see some of the marks from the gesso strokes. So this one was done on gessoed paper. Most of my most of my abstracts and certainly my recent ones, they're all done on gessoed paper because I like it so much. Here comes another one. All right. I'm going to turn the photo upside down. I think I've got it. Yeah, there it is, upside down. When I turn it upside down, I see some interesting repeated dark and light shapes here, and some interesting repeated shapes here, dark shapes with little pops of light coming through. Do y'all see that? Here's the painting. Do you see the dark, light, dark, light, dark over here? And then all these funny little shapes here came right from here in the photograph. This one is also done on gessoed paper, just so you know. Lots of lines in this one. Do you see all those light lines? Okay, here, this is down in the Virgin Islands. Here's a realistic painting that I made. I had a number of photos of this old deteriorating wall and gate. And one of the other photos was more angled. And I used the more angled one for this realistic interpretation. This painting, by the way, is done on watercolor canvas. That's a different surface. Here's the abstract on gessoed paper. Now, this is one of the, see, you look right here. This is one of those subjects where, you know, if I just enlarge this and look here, it's kind of like it's already an abstract painting. I'm trying harder in this workshop, you know, so here's the abstract painting. Um, what I'm trying to do in this workshop for my demo for you, because I feel like it's a better learning experience, is to not start with a photo like this where you have kind of a ready-made automatic abstract design just waiting for you. So, this is maybe a little, you know, too, I don't, what I'm trying to think. You know what I'm saying, right? I do want to mention one thing about this one that's pretty cool. This has some metallic gold paint on it. It's not real gold, it's just paint. It's watercolor that has something in it, some kind of little flecks of gold-ish metal. And so it's hard to tell in the photograph. When you see the actual painting in the right light, it kind of glitters a little bit. So these areas that look like bright yellow are actually it's actually gold tinted. It's made by Holbein, by the way, if you're interested in buying it. And I think, especially in terms of creating the illusion of texture in a watercolor or water media painting, having a little shimmery, iridescent kind of paint on the surface can really add another layer of interest to your painting. Okay, take a look at this lady with the umbrella and the hula hoops, and also her, I'm trying to enlarge it. Here we go. Also, all these lovely little bangly things. And I mean, she's all dressed up, isn't she? So here's my realistic interpretation. Got all that stuff in there. By the way, going back to yesterday's lesson, remember, you don't have to paint everything in the photo, do you? You can eliminate a lot, you can crop a lot. Yes, indeed. So here's a good example of that. Realistic. And here's the abstract interpretation. So these curvy shapes, see these curvy shapes? They're all over the place. Those were inspired by her hula hoops. Here are the bangles on her, that beautiful belt thing on her hips. These are all the bangles. And once again, I'm using some of that gold paint to just kind of jazz things up. A lady at a big crazy parade in the Virgin Islands. Oh, wait a minute. I showed this to you yesterday. I did. This lady, remember? Do y'all remember this? I showed you this yesterday. Sorry, I forgot. And there's the painting I showed you. Okay, let's go back to the same photo now. And I want you to look right, kind of right in here at this lady's ear. Do you see that where I'm circling? Here it is. Here's her ear. All right, I want you to look here, and here's the abstract painting. So these are, see the beads, the Mardi Gras beads. All right, so this, again, and there's some gold in here too. I don't have gold in all of my abstracts. Um, okay, now I'm going to show you kind of step by step by step, which I think helps to make the process even more clear. All right. So this photo was also taken down in the Virgin Islands. There are a lot of old sugarcane plantations down there, and with a lot of ruined old buildings. I was standing inside of a ruined old stone building here, looking out of what might have been once a window, looking at this shape, mostly this structure right here, which is the base of an old stone windmill. Okay, they call them sugar mills down there. All right, I just want to explain what we're looking at. Okay, so here's my source photo. I'm going to crop here. I think this is an interesting part of my photo. Now I'm going to start to draw. Oh, wait, I do have an underpainting. I made an underpainting, and then I started to draw. See this shape right here? That's this shape right here. Okay, then we can see the shape, the open shape of the window. There it is. See the line? I just want to orient you. So these are my first lines. Now I'm starting to add some color. And I'm putting color within some of the shapes created by the lines, and in some cases, extending it beyond the shape. Adding more color, going a little darker. These sequential photos that I'm showing you, I'm keeping them all in the same direction. It's easier to follow them that way. but I want you to trust me when I say that I was constantly rotating as I was painting. Here we're getting a lot farther from here to here. You can still kind of see that mark for, or those lines for where the opening was. At this point, I've all but lost this. There's just a little tiny piece of it left right here. So as I work my way on through these paintings, I also lose a lot of shapes. I remove them, I lift them, I paint over them, I add more. I got to tell you, certainly by the time I was at this point in the painting, I wasn't looking at my photo. Probably hadn't looked at it in quite a while. And here's the final painting. Let's try another one. Laundry. I love laundry. I love painting laundry, realistically or abstractly. But let's look at the laundry here, at the shapes of the laundry and also the shapes of the shadows. Here, I'm pulling in a little closer for you. And here's the start. Now you can see that with this painting, I did not start with an underpainting. I'm just starting on my white paper and it is gessoed. And I'm just drawing a lot of shapes with a blue Caran d'Ache crayon, responding to these shapes, positive and negative, physical objects, or shadows. And now I'm starting to add cool colors inside of some of the shapes. And now I'm adding some warm colors and some darks, going more complex. I did a little bit of stamping here. I can't recall precisely what I used to do this stamping, but notice I did it here and here and here. I don't do it just once. If I do it once and I like it and I want to leave it, I'll do it again and then again. Going darker, intensifying my colors, a little bit more. Oops, I guess this is the final one. Here's this is up in Maine. Let's pull in a little bit closer. Here's my start. I just want to point out to you, do you see these two trees kind of making a V? You see that? Here they are in my drawing. I'm sorry, I don't have an earlier um, picture to show you. You can see I did not start with an underpainting on this one. I started with putting in lines and then adding some color, and then I took the picture. But here are those two V trees right there. Just so you know, I just want you to believe that I used this photograph to get some of the lines in, okay? Some of these shapes that are in the surf, pretty sure that's what this came from. And now, again, I'm continuing to add more color, go a little darker and a little darker. Those two trees are still there. You see that? There they are. Um, Once again, I just want you to trust that even though I'm showing these in the same orientation, I was constantly rotating my painting. This might be the final one. No, this is the final one. Okay, so this is almost the final one, but now I just want to show you that the actual final version, and you can tell from my signature, is actually rotated. Here are the two trees right here going off to the right now. You see that? Here they're still going off to the top the way they are in the photograph. But I decided at some point in the process, the painting says to me, stop turning me around. And I know which way it's meant to be oriented. And I stop turning it and I just finish it that way.